Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Business News, Business Point on Global Television. We're live in the nation's capital, Abuja, and of course on Business Point, we x-ray Nigeria's economy. We talk about tech, innovation, as well as government policies and the news making rounds in the world of business. I am Queen Agaba. Olayemi Cardoso, Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has said that government purchases of palliatives are contributing factor to rising food prices in Nigeria. During the latest Monetary Policy Committee MPC meeting held between March 25th and 26th, 2024, Cardoso noted that new inflation drivers are emerging beyond the usual monetary factors. This was according to his personal statement in a document released by the CBN, which summarized the discussions of the MPC members. The CBN governor further disclosed that apart from targeted inflation with a higher monetary policy rate, the major concern was to reduce the negative real interest rate and attract foreign capital. He further stressed the importance of combining monetary policy with fiscal measures and structural reforms, especially in agriculture, electricity, and energy sectors. These steps are crucial for long-term investment and sustainable economic growth in Nigeria, according to him. My guest on the program, who is Nathaniel Lois, would help us make better sense of the impact of government interventions on food prices just after this break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, if you've just joined us, this is Business Point, where we x-ray Nigeria's economy. We talk about tech, innovation, as well as services. I am being joined by Natasha Luz, who is the CEO of FinClap um, Enterprise. Good morning, Nathaniel.
Good morning, Queen. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you doing today?
Hello, Nathaniel. Can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me? I can hear you very
Okay,
well.
good. I can hear you clearly. I hope I got that correctly. Nathaniel Luz.
Yes, you did.
Okay, we see that government interventions are aimed at stabilizing food prices and ensuring that there's food security, and supporting local agriculture. From the insight I just established, can you help us elaborate the primary objective behind Nigeria's food palliative purchases, and to what extent have these objectives been met, especially with recent initiatives?
Okay, so one of the key aspects of the government is to keep the economy running, right? Keep the economy running. There's a popular saying in economics and finance that if goods cannot cross borders, soldiers will. Meaning that even trade is a good way in which you create peace among neighbors and all of that. So a government just has to keep an economy running, which is why you see government intervention in the currency situation. Maybe when the dollar was going almost 2,000, the CBN had to intervene massively and help bring it to less than 1,004, which is why you see government intervention in different things, right? At times you see them I'm getting involved in the sales of commodities like petroleum, for instance, because the economy has to run on. The economy runs on industries. Industries need petroleum products to be able to, to be able to function. Literally, if there's no fuel, people can't even move from point A to point B. So it's the same thing that we're seeing with the government being involved in the agricultural stuff, trying to stabilize the prices and ensuring that inflation doesn't just, double every day. If you speak to the average people, they'll tell you that the cost of the basics, rice, groundnut oil, the cost of foodstuff has even been jumping, that even people already know that, oh, if I go to the market this week, whatever price I meet, when I'm going next week, I should plan for this price plus X, whereby X is unknown, but X is always some level of increment compared to what we currently have, right? So, yes, should the government intervene? Yes, the government should do everything to keep the economy running. The government should do things to make it easy for the poor, for everybody in the country. But now we now need to review the intervention. Is the intervention, how are the supposed intervention doing what they should do? And how best should we see government intervening so we can review those things? Because, yeah, it's one thing to say, yes, this needs to be done, right? But the how about it? And is this meeting the goals? Is this meeting the set forth objectives? I believe that's what we're here to discuss about today.
Meeting the goal, the objectives. We know that this intervention should control the rise of food prices, but they can also have on the market, stated, market dynamics and inflation. These government interventions, these recent interventions, no doubt have impacted food prices. Are there any unintended consequences that may have emerged or would emerge in the nearest future?
Yes. So first off, the general issue I have with government interventions all over the world is the how, right? Most interventions seem to be like medicine after death. Most interventions seem to be focused on a goal, not really on the way we get to that goal. So the economy has a way it functions normally, right? If you want to change something, you go through that process. For instance, there is input, there's output. Let's say there's a farming association in Nigeria. They know that if we put an input of this amount of seeds, this is the expected amount of output, right? For instance, if you look at the electricity situation, when electricity is generated, it is then transmitted before it's distributed. We know, give or take, about 15% is lost in transmission. They account for that. Do you understand? So we have to go back to the basis. trying to control prices would not really work in a long-term thing. It's what we're seeing with the forex market, it's what we'd see in petroleum, we see it everywhere. You can't just try to control output. This is economics. Like, you have to control input. You have to try to control from the beginning, right? So why are we having what we're having? The inflation in agriculture and all of that, and people say, oh, because dollar was going up. Dollar came down, food prices kept on going up. That means it's not just one thing, because the dollar is coming down, but this thing is also going up. So it's not really dollar. We have to now go back to the basics. What is really happening? Number one, we have to look at insecurity issues. Insecurity has reduced the ability of people going to the farm. It has reduced the input we can put into that. And we need to look at road networks, right? Transportation. Are we even having the problem in the aspect of storage? It means what is produced in Zamfara, before it gets to Lagos, half of it is gone. We have to own those processes. Saying we are going to control price, or a bag of rice is going to be 7,000 naira by December, is not what we need. It's not a sustainable thing. At best, it's just going to end up being a giveaway. Right? It's why you've noticed that every time we say, oh, there's a new announcement, it's meant to be 2,000 naira by next month. Those things are just short-term palliatives, right? What we should be looking at is proper economic structuring, in the sense that, how can we make this thing sustainable, right? The tough times are already here, but how can we now create a path from these tough times to a future that is sustainable, to not just any kind of future, to not just any kind of space, which is where we are missing it. We need to go back to the basics. Do we have loans for farmers? Right? Are they able to access low interest loans and all those things? Instead of the government just focusing on, oh, we'll share foodstuff or we'll send this kind of aid to people, I would prefer if that money was invested into the system. There is already an established system. Why not strengthen that system and empower it than just trying to own the outcome? So that's where I think that we're missing it.
Truly, rightly said. We see the previous, I think a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, we saw where, despite the economic crunch and hardship, the government, it will be the Nigerian custom who thought it well to give out food prices for less, and at some point we see that they were giving out these prices, this food, I beg your pardon, for free. But we see some of the challenges that people experienced with trying to get these food items. Some of them were stampedes. They had stampedes, I beg your pardon. They had, because of how many the people who came out in their mass to get these palliatives were, they had a bit of challenges. They experienced a bit of challenges. So you would agree with me that this, to an extent, is a challenge in the distribution of these food palliatives in Nigeria. I know I've had people come on the show to say, how sustainable is the palliative system? We're giving out palliatives now. You're giving people rice now. How about gas for them to be able to, make this food? How about beans? How about other factors that should contribute to, making a meal for a Nigerian family or a Nigerian home? How can this be, mitigated?
Okay, so regarding the custom distribution of foodstuff, I think so many people have a mixed feelings. I also don't have mixed feelings, because some of those things were seized from people. So it wasn't like the government bought it to distribute. Some of those things were seized from people. So I have a mixed feeling about that. But again, those things are giveaways, and giveaways are limited. Right? How many people? That's why the impact of NGOs are great. I mean, I support a couple of them, but they are like a backup. They shouldn't replace how things should be. Right? While orphanage homes are great, and I mean, they help with kids and everything, it doesn't replace the need that children are supposed to go in a home. Right? So when there are one or two things, we can have foster care, we can have this. So all of these palliatives are supposed to be things that become backup, not them becoming the central point. The central point is fix your economy. That's it. It's as simple as ABC. Fix your economy. Like, that's the central point. You see most people trying to smuggle or bring in things from land borders, and some of them get seized and say, oh, don't bring in this. We need to begin to ask questions. These challenges we are having regarding food prices, do our neighbors face this kind of things? What are people doing differently? You understand? What are people doing differently that leads to excess supply in some regions, while some regions do not have. So I think that we're just looking at short-term fixes. How many people can you give free rice or groundnut oil or chicken or something? I mean, how many people can you give, and for how long can you keep on doing that? Right? The long-term goal should be that how do we make sure that this thing is affordable, or to a certain extent, almost affordable to all? Food is one of the basics, right? I mean, food is a basic thing. And we're not talking of internet affordability, which is another basic. But I mean, in this case of things, we have to put things in proper perspective. So food is a super basic stuff. If we can't figure food, we can't figure so many things out. Right. So these short-term things are not working. They are good. We don't have to stop them. But what I'm saying is we shouldn't start treating them like they are the core. Like everybody should look forward to them. Or you should let me know. I'll give you my phone number, Queen, so that the next time I'm there sharing rice, you call me and I'll be the first on the queue. That's not the goal. Right? Palliatives are backup. Palliatives are a one-time thing. Like just palliatives are not what we should be living on as an economy, as a country, as a people, right? Something is broken. And with the rate of our population growth, I mean, largest Black country in the world, and with the rate our population is growing, how much on handovers can we survive? How much survival can be based on give me? Right? We need to go back to the basics. Something is out of place. How much is the minimum wage? And what can that get for someone? So we need to go back to the basics. You understand? So this is beyond the cost of things. And this is beyond, oh, the government is doing some palliatives. This is beyond that. We need to go back to the basics, Queen.
That we need to go back to the basics. Now, these interventions that we see, food security interventions, you'll agree with me also, but you clearly answered my second question, but I just want, for the sake of clarity, that these food security interventions would have broader and social political implications, no doubt. They also affect our perceptions, like you just clearly stated here right now. But for the bigger populace, the bigger populations, those that, I mean, in people in their mass, those who are not maybe as educated as some of us may be, what do you think their perceptions are about these palliative measures? How have they been influenced? You know, what do you think about what do you think about the effectiveness of this government and the palliatives being given out?
Everybody wants freebies. So on one end, everybody wants freebies, so everybody's going to collect. But of course, there are people that feel, oh, there's one agenda the government is trying to do, and there are people that feel, it's not the one that will give us 2 bags of rice now, they'll say it's 100 bags that they've quoted, So there are, I mean, different opinions, right? Opinions are much, and people are free to think, and people are free to technically say anything, even on social media. So, but one thing is certain, people want freebies, right? Everybody loves freebies, right? But it also, we have to be careful that we're not breeding a culture of entitlement, One problem Nigeria as a country is facing is that a lot of people do not pay for value. Like a lot of people feel, why should I pay for something if I can get it for free? It's why a lot of people bypass their prepaid wires, like bypass their electricity and prepaid meters. There's a basic understanding that why should I pay if I can get it for free? It's why people pirate books, pirate movies, pirate the whole. I mean, we went to universities where we literally had to photocopy textbooks, and we thought that was a way of life. Now, going to grow up and learn that data is piracy, and we're like, are you for real? I mean, everybody was doing it. So we also have to watch out that we don't begin to make that a culture. Palliatives are good, and palliatives should be done by the government from time to time. But we shouldn't so focus on it that it now begins to. I mean, I was seeing countries in the world where their social security is functioning so much, such that when somebody loses a job, they are not even, there's no vibe to get another one. Because, I mean, I'm collecting fee allowance every month. You get that kind of a thing. Even when the government says do NYC, we put you on an allowance, it is capped, right? It is controlled. After 1 year, okay, go and start your life. It's that kind of a thing, right? So even when parents have kids, they train them to a certain point and say, this allowance you're collecting is the last one you collect, God will help you till you see again. So we have to also balance that. And we also have to ensure that this intervention does not become counterproductive to that economy in itself. Like I've said, I would prefer that these interventions were put into the pipeline, that were put into the system, and should not just be an end result. There are people who really want to make agriculture work in Nigeria. What if the government partners with these guys? What if the government gives heavy support to these guys, right? I'm privileged to know a couple of farming guys and farming groups, and if those guys get more support, they will do wonders. And some of those support is not even financial. Some might be things like security. Security has been a super big challenge to people who do large farming because they have to go into like thick bushes where they can get a large chunk of arable land so they can plant, in commercial value. And security has been a major challenge. I mean, even the security of lives, and not talk of even the security of their business and all of that. So what if we need government to intervene in those kind of things? Security, as basic as it seems, it's not something that individuals can really fulfill, right? And there's so many other things. Something as simple as drainage, this gutters we say in the streets, it's something that requires super government intervention. Because even if I build a drainage in front of my house, where do I connect it to? Who do I connect it to? How do I channel from there to a lake or something, or a stream or something? How do we balance all of those things? So we really need a heavy government intervention, but I don't really think it should be on the prices. That's my challenge. Leave outcome alone. Let's go to inputs. In economics, when the supply is much, the pricing would fall. These things are basic economics. If you have more people who want to buy something, the price keeps going up. It's why you notice that during periods of fuel scarcity, like we're having quite some scarcity now in some parts of the country, you notice that the price is going up because you see black market and someone is like, well, see, fuel is out in my car, sell at any price, 1,000 per liter and I will buy. But once we have enough supply, in fact, you see some filling stations, you go there, you won't see anybody, you won't see a queue. You can just buy, right? So I would not really focus on this whole price thing. I think that's missing the entire picture. I would focus more on how do we boost supply in the next few years, in the next few months. How do we make, and what are those small quick fixes we need to boost supply? I think that's a major challenge we're having. If we juxtapose this with the electricity situation in Nigeria, for instance, I don't know why Nigeria has a tax on solar panels. I think at my last research, about 5% or so tax on solar panels, batteries, and all those things. A country like Nigeria, if you install solar panels, the government should even be sending you a thank you letter with maybe a bouquet of flower, right? To say thank you for installing panels in a place whereby our electricity production is not up to what we need to consume. Like the first way the government should show that we are serious about meeting power is to celebrate everybody trying to make solar work. Because for each solar panel sold, the demand on electricity reduces, right? We've seen a number of people going off grid since this whole band A, band B readjustment thing came up. With each person going off grid, the demand on electricity reduces. So even as the government is working on ramping up the supply of electricity, like ramping up the production of electricity power for supply, right? We should also be supporting the people who are trying to do it from the solar angle. It's what we should be doing in agric also. Not just looking at what's the price, how do we put a law that a bag of rice must not be more than 70,000 naira, that a bag of beans. I think those things are missing the point. Do you understand? I'm not saying that there are times where a government should not step into prices, but those things are missing the point. Those things are missing the core. Can we solve these foundational issues instead? Yeah. So that's what I think.
Just taking me back to agric, this is kind of a way, but because of your responses so far, I think I should ask. We've also seen these interventions in terms of agriculture. I mean, I've had the privilege to speak with some grassroots farmers who have said, okay, we've seen these interventions here and there, we hear of it. Now, it's not even about the interventions itself and the interventions that are given out, these palliatives that are given out, or these grants, to put it. It's another thing for it to get to grassroots farmers. I mean, those people who are the practical farmers, those who are the ones in the farm, not the ones in the office. You know, they hear of these things. They see that these palliatives are for them. Farm tools, farm implements, fertilizers, and all of this. But they don't get to them, these people who are the actual farmers. What can be done to bridge this gap? How do we see that? Okay, we know that it's not even about the interventions, but can the interventions at least get to those who are in the agricultural sector and agricultural value chain?
Yeah, I jokingly used to say that Nigeria as a country, all of us need to travel abroad. Like we just carry the country. Everybody will travel abroad to like 6 months to 1 year to go and learn, then we'll come back. Because what amazes me in Nigeria is the amount of self-sabotage, right? The amount of quick bucks we want to make, and at the end, we are sabotaging the economy of the country. That's a big challenge. So I've also heard of that. Like I said, I know a couple of people in Agric, and that also seems to be the norm. But again, that's the point of government. So we need proper coordination. That's also it's the job of the person donating or giving to be sure that you're giving to who actually needs it. There's a concept called toxic charity that you can be doing charity, but it ends up being toxic. In fact, there's an entire book and an entire ideology being built around it. That you're doing charity doesn't just mean that you're helping those guys. That you can also be doing a charity that ends up disempowering the people you're trying to help, right? So it's also the part, I think it's the responsibility of the government to ensure that these, I don't want to call them palliatives, but I'll just say these agricultural support programs get to the grassroots guys. So how do you want to do it? There are different ways. Do you want to pass through the Bank of Industry? Do you want to pass through, like, there are different ways, right? And again, I don't think people need grants. I don't think even these farmers need just give me one time, just dash me. I don't think that's what they even want. I think what they want is a kind of system in which the current interest rate in Nigeria, it doesn't work for people in agric. So maybe what they want is a system that gives them 1-digit interest loans because they're farmers. I should be able to get a loan at 4%. If I can prove that this loan is going into my farm and I can pay back and get another one, right? Or what I want to get is maybe I want to import some seeds or something, and what I want to get is a kind of tax rebate or something. Like, so we need to ensure that we're not just doing, that's why I say this whole charity, the way it's going, it's not giving the vibe it should be given. It's fine. I'm not condemning it because a lot of hard work has gone into it, but it's something that needs to be improved. The intention is great, but the processes need to be improved because if the help is not getting to the person that needs it, the job is not yet being done, right? I mean, if the help is not getting there, the job is not yet being done. And if we want to talk about distribution, if you notice, for instance, if you work, I mean, for people who work in FMCGs, I'm surprised as to every nook and cranny, I can get a bottle of Coca-Cola in Nigeria. Because the Coca-Cola company knows that it's not enough to say we have produced or we've loaded it in the trucks. It has to get to those places. So if private companies can do it, maybe we should have more of PPPs or something. But it's something that can definitely be done. So it's not really a big deal. It can get to the last mile. Yeah. So it's something that the government has to work on.
Other countries have, implemented similar interventions. So I'm talking about palliatives now with varying degrees of success. How are we missing it?
I just told you that Nigeria as a whole, all of us, we need to go abroad for 6 months to 1 year and come back. The issue with Nigeria is an issue of self-sabotage. It's self-sabotage. So I personally believe that for each person who bypasses their prepaid meter or who uses electricity without paying, you are making it impossible for us to have enough electricity next month, next year, in 10 years' time. Because it's the revenue that gets there that goes into producing for tomorrow. Abi, if you sell something and maybe you sell cakes, and you produce 100, and we bought 90 on credit and we did not pay. Next month, I'm not sure you produce 100, maybe you produce only 10 or 15. So it's we've seen a lot of self-sabotage because a lot of people don't. I personally, I want to say this very carefully because I'm on air. Corruption is bad, but I don't even think the only issue with Nigeria is corruption because see, there are corrupt countries in this world. There's corruption and there's corruption. You understand? There are countries that when you look at their corruption, Africa is learning. Do you understand what I mean? Like there are levels to corruption that Africa as a whole is learning. But I'm not just going to mention names. I think what is wrong with us is a level of short-sightedness, and everybody wants a quick buck today, right? Contracts are inflated so many places in the world. It's not only here. But it's only here that we do a road and we do it again in 4 years and we do it again in 3 years, and the same road is being done 20 times. So what we're actually doing is the resources are limited. But I don't think a lot of people understand how much our resources are limited. Because there's this mindset of it's government money, it's free money. If it's government, I shouldn't pay. If it's government, I should. I mean, so all kinds of corruption that happens in Nigeria comes from a level of short-sightedness. Na free thing, na free. If it's free, don't pay. Don't if you can get it for free, don't pay. No, so that's a basic problem that's happening. And you don't realize that it is coming from somewhere. And that place, if you finish it, has finished. Do you understand? So I think that is our major problem. If you look at countries like the UAE, for instance, there is road tax. How many of us in Nigeria pay road taxes? Right? So you drive through, except maybe a couple of places like Lagos and where we have toll gates and we pay some toll fee. The average person feels, why should I pay this? Why should I pay this? Bypass it, bypass it, pass the street, don't pay the toll. But in some other clients, it is understood that paying a toll means this. I don't know if you understand what I mean. It means that a toll fee ideally should go to the repair of the road and all those things, right? So we are in a kind of relationship that the government is doing all shege, we are doing the government shege back, so it's a toxic relationship in which both parties are trying to see who can punish the other person more. And again, I'm not going to put the blame on citizens. I'm not trying to make this a citizen danger. Me, the people that run for elections every 4 years, they promise us that they'll fix the problem, Abi. They saw the problems before they said they were the Messiah. So the whole box goes back to the government has to start the changes. But I just want to point it out that it's also a lot of this change has to do with the mindset renewal. You understand it now? A mindset renewal. We need to understand. See, the only reason why somebody can urinate on the street here, and when the same person gets to UK and the person cannot try it, how do you go to Dubai and urinate on the street? It's your destiny that will be telling you, bro, don't try. You want to go back, don't try that. So it's the culture of those places. So even when you don't like it, when you get there, you queue. To get a coffee, you stand in a queue. Like you naturally obey, right? So I think that's something that we also need to work on as a people.
Definitely. But you mentioned something around taxation, especially in the UAE and in other parts of other climes. Don't you think that we've had issues of Nigerians, especially in states? Now let's move from just the federal government alone to the states where they've complained of excessive taxations. Okay, we pay tax for this tax, a lot of taxes that were outlisted that is being collected by governments, and yet we see that we still struggle with bad roads. We see businesses that are still struggling here in the country. Okay, I'm just informed that we need to take a quick break. Please, we have to take a very quick break. And when we return, we would, delve deep into this conversation. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you very much for staying with us. We're still speaking with Nathaniel Luz, who is the CEO of FinClub. Nathaniel, I believe you're still with us.
Yes, I'm here.
Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Yes, I am here.
Okay, so I was asking, the question now, is it about the taxation? We've had cases, like I earlier reiterated, that Nigerians are beginning to complain about excessive taxations, and yet nothing is working. So is the issue about taxations or government policies, or there are a whole lot of these factors that are intertwined that has made up for where we are and the issues, the socioeconomic issues we're currently facing?
Okay, so again, I want to be careful about blanket statements so that it's not just taken out of context, because I mean, these are things that we can debate on for months. But we see a lot of people moving, jackpine to the UK, for instance, to the US. Those guys going there, they'll pay the taxes there. So I don't think it's an issue of the people not willing to pay, right? In fact, in Nigeria, even if they say tax is 1%, what the first thing the person wants to ask is, what do I get in exchange for this? So the person in the UK who is paying 40% of their income or 35 or 45, depending on what they're earning as tax, realizes that you have this kind of healthcare, you have this kind of roads, this is your water system, this is your this. Do you understand? A Nigerian is forced to drill their home borehole, provide solar, get your own internet, do everything. So at the end of the day, you're feeling like you want to tax me like people in the UK are taxing, but you don't want to give me what those people's governments are giving them. Right? Again, these are longer conversations, but the first move has to be from the part of the government. I don't think Nigerians don't want to pay taxes. Right? For instance, if you know what Nigerian tech companies are spending to incorporate their companies abroad, you know how much they are paying to do annual filing to incorporate in Delaware, and how much they are paying annually for filing, even for companies that are still young and growing. It's a whole lot of money. So that's because people understand that if I incorporate my company in the US, I get these benefits. So the challenge for Nigeria is, and people are saying, see, life is about privilege and obligations, right? Obligations, what do I have to do? What is it going to cost me? The privilege is, what does it give me back, right? So I'm wearing a shirt, the obligation I have to pay to get it, right? And the privilege is I have a shirt to put on and to come on this show. So the issue a lot of Nigerians are saying is we've been doing a lot of obligations, no matter how small the government might think they are, but we've done obligations since yesterday. Where are the privileges that we are getting in exchange for these obligations? Because it's going to be difficult for you to say, let's pay more taxes, let's do more things, let's donate more to Nigeria and all that. See, it's going to be very difficult because the people are asking questions that we've been doing all of this since yesterday and the economy is not getting better and we have to spend more. Imagine a fixed salary earner when I saw almost 20,000 or 30,000 or 40,000. So there are more things even creeping into his salary that even has to start some side gigs. So is that the person you want to tell to come and pay good tax? I don't think that's a wise one. So the whole bulk lies on the point of the government. The government has to make moves. And look at the tech ecosystem, right? It's one thing to say, a lot of Nigerian companies are incorporated abroad and all of that. We need to try to get them home, bring this money home, bring this money home. What are you going to give us in exchange? The countries we're incorporating, we know what they're giving us. Do you understand? So it's more of privilege and obligation. So what are people going to get in return? So that's the question I'm leaving for the government.
Thank you so much for your valuable contribution. We have to take a quick break now. It's a pleasure having you on the program, Nathaniel Lewis. I hope you grace our platform again.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Queen.
Thank you. Do have a beautiful day ahead. We'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll look at the news-making waves in the world of business. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, if you've just joined us, this is Business Point on Global Television, where we x-ray Nigeria's economy. We talk about tech, policy, and innovation. And before the break, we were speaking with Nathaniel Lewis, who is an economic analyst and the CEO of FinClap. Now, let's look at what's happening in the world of business. The British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Richard Montgomery, says the trade relations between Nigeria and the United Kingdom have reached 7 billion euro. In an interview with the news agency of Nigeria in Abuja, Montgomery announced that the two nations have signed a new agreement on enhanced trade and investment partnership. The agreement aims to boost cooperation in key sectors such as agriculture, creative industries, legal services, financial services, and education. The UK currently exports around 4 billion euro worth of goods and services to Nigeria, while Nigeria's exports to the UK stand at approximately 3 billion euros. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has restructured the Transmission Company of Nigeria by establishing the Nigerian Independent System Operator of Nigeria Limited. This development was announced in an order signed by the chairman of the commission, Sanusi Garba, and vice chairman, Mr. Muslim Hussaini in Abuja. This is coming almost 4 years after the company said it was consulting stakeholders moves to implement the unbundling of the Transmission Company of Nigeria into two entities. The company said all market and system operation responsibility will be transferred from TCN to the newly formed NISO. The newly appointed Director General, Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Emomotimi Agama, is expected to meet with the local and international crypto exchanges to discuss and seek consensus on the status of crypto in the country. The meeting, convened by the Blockchain Industry Coordinating Committee of Nigeria, will address relevant issues and chart a progressive course for crypto regulations. According to Beacon Chair Lucky Wakwe, who spoke with Kind Telegraph, the meeting is open to all digital assets exchange operators, wallet providers, and virtual assets, relevant industry associations and bodies to address relevant issues and chart a progressive course for crypto regulations in Nigeria. Wakwe explained that the virtual meeting is being convened at the invitation of the SEC chief. The Naira traded at a loss at the official market, depreciating to 1,402 Naira against the United States dollar. According to data from the FMDQ Exchange Securities, the Naira dropped by 12 Naira or 0.86% from the 1,390 Naira recorded at the close of trading activity on Tuesday. There was no trading activity on Wednesday due to the celebration of the Workers' Day. At the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market, the intraday high closed at 1,445 Naira on Thursday, weaker than 1,450 Naira on Tuesday. The intraday low also depreciated to 1,299 on Thursday as against 1,200 Naira on Tuesday. Dollar supply at NAFEX appreciated by 3.1% or $7 million to $232 on Thursday from $225.36 million recorded on Tuesday. The Naira had depreciated following a renewed demand for the greenback at both the official and parallel market. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission says the international oil companies, IOCs, have proposed 26 oil blocks to be divested to indigenous companies with 8.211 million barrels of oil reserves. The NUPRC said it had also engaged two leading global oil and gas decommissioning consultants to carry out due diligence on the proposed 26 oil blocks to be divested. The Commission's chief executive, NUPRC Gbenga Komolafe, said this at the industry dialogue on IOC's divestment of oil and gas assets in Abuja. NUPRC organized a workshop to guide and consider due diligence and interrogation on compliance with the laws and processes that govern the proposed divestment of oil and gas assets. The federal government says it will stop granting licenses to gas companies with no capacity to build pipelines for gas distribution. This, the government says, become necessary to discourage the transportation of compressed natural gas through the roads. The Minister of State for Petroleum, Gas, Ekwerikpe Ekpo, made this disclosure when he was in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Ekpo had visited Abeokuta for an on-the-spot assessment of CNG explosion at Itaoshin on Saturday. Now let's look at the business report filed by Ikelomo Kere.
Hello and welcome to Business Reports on Global Morning. In the opening trading session of May at NAFEM window, the Naira experienced a slight decline, settling at 1,402 Naira to a dollar, which is 0.83% decrease from the previous close of 1,319 Naira to a dollar in April. Market data from FMDQ revealed a fluctuation within the day, with the Naira hitting a peak of 1,445 Naira to a dollar and a low of 1,299 Naira against the dollar, accumulating a significant spread of 145 Naira. Meanwhile, the volume of dollar transactions saw a modest rise of 3.32%, reaching $232.84, up from $225.36 on the preceding Tuesday. In the parallel market, the Naira weakened further, dropping to 1,380 Naira per dollar on May 2nd, marking a 1.45% fall from 1,360 Naira rate on April 30, 2024. This shift brought the disparity between the parallel market and NAFEM rate down to a mere 22.67 Naira from the 40.96 observed on Tuesday. Seplat Energy plc says it has released the applicable exchange rate used in determining its final and special dividend payouts to qualified shareholders who wish to receive their dividend in the Naira. According to the statement, the exchange rate for the Naira amount payable is the NAFEM closing rate of April 25, 2024. The energy firm is set to disburse a total of 46.2 billion Naira for its 2023 final and special dividend, representing a payout ratio of 57%. This allocation aligned with the company's net income of 81.3 billion Naira for 2023 fiscal year. Seplat Energy plc, a leading Nigerian independent energy company listed on the both Nigerian Exchange Limited and London Stock Exchange, confirms that the currency exchange is the rate applicable in determining both the final and special dividend for 2023 to shareholders that will receive the dividend payment in Naira. As the cost of living continues to rise high, access to affordable and nutritious food remain a critical concern for many households across the country. The cost of healthy diet serves as a vital metric in assessing the economy and physical accessibility of nutritious food options. At the national level, the average cost of a healthy diet stood at 982 Naira per adult per day in March 2024, reflecting a 4.7% increase from the previous month. According to data prepared by the National Bureau of Statistics, regional disparity were evident, with the Southwest recording the highest average cost of healthy living at 1,198 Naira per day, while the Northwest boasted the lowest at 787 Naira per day. Zooming in at the state level, Ekiti, Lagos, and Abia states emerged with the highest cost, recording 1,313 Naira, 1,249 Naira, and 1,215 Naira, respectively. Conversely, Katsina led the pack with the lowest cost at 739 Naira, followed closely by Sokoto and Zamfara at 758 Naira and 766 Naira, respectively. Furthermore, analysis data at the zonal level reveal disparity in cost of healthy living across different regions. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
And this is where we draw the curtains on Business Point today. Don't forget to follow us across all social media platforms at Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.